Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video. Today we're going to do a character guide on Beatrix, and this is her updated character guide for her FR. So in this video, we're going to go ahead and look at her calls, her artifacts, and spheres. Those of you unfamiliar with Beatrix, she is a very cool, I would call her kind of like a utility support type character. She has off-turn damage with like traps, which is really good. She has a lot of healing and like HP regen type stuff. She has a really cool ability that makes it so she can't take damage, so she's got a little bit of like tanking in there as well. And she can actually do pretty good damage herself. And she has a lot of Dispel, and Dispel is like a super important mechanic in this game, especially when bosses have really nasty buffs that they put on themselves. She can dispel those quite frequently, and it's very good. So let's go ahead and start looking at her calls first. Now, her calls aren't anything like super mega uber crazy or anything like that, but I could see some use for it. I never bring her calls, to be honest, but they could be. So her 15 is Saint Cloth. Saint Cloth doesn't really do any specific caller effect, other than it just does like a party defense up and HP regen buff, so nothing too crazy there, and it does some brave gain on the actual attack, right? And then on her LD call, this is the one that I think is better, which basically it does a full buff dispel off the enemy, so it's really good like on-demand dispel call, so that's where I see the most use of it. And then it does put her Rose Petals, which is her trap, on the enemies, and that's kind of nice as well. So it's definitely not like the worst call, it's just not one I've used a lot, but I definitely can see the use for it, right? So let's go ahead and look at Beatrix herself here. So for artifacts, you want to go with this one right here. You want to go with 3 of these. So you want 3 Attack 108 and 3 Continent's Finest Boost 2-star. Basically, you're just focusing on attack. And so that's what you're getting. You're getting a lot of attack out of this. I do think you could go Attack 108 Max Brave 330 as well. She does do some battery that scales off of Max Brave, and her C50 doesn't actually give Max Brave. So if you want Max Brave, you could go that way, but I kind of like just going with the C50. You're going to get an extra 15% attack on top of her own attack, which is very good there, right? But I could see the argument for Attack 108 Max Brave 330. So if you want to help her Brave gains a little bit more, you could go with the Max Brave there. Alright, and then let's go ahead and hop into the spheres. So there's a few options you can do for the spheres here, right? But on the A slot, you want to go your typical attack brave damage or attack max brave combo, something like that, right? So I definitely think something like a Sephiroth or like a Yang, one of these attack max brave combos are probably really good on her. Now the thing with Beatrix, she's one of these characters that's deceiving because she wields a gigantic sword, but she's actually a magic damage dealer. So you could do something like Aerith, or like Alphanod, which I have here. Alphanod's here is a magic attack up 15%, and then Aerith is also an attack up 15%. Aerith, I think you just have to have max HP, which Beatrix being a healing character, like that's very easy to upkeep as well. This one's just a crit damage, which most characters can hit crit damage just fine. So yeah, I've got a big fat magic attack 15% up for my Beatrix there, right? On the B slot, she's really limited on like good B slot spheres just because she's not like a lock character. She's not a tank, because a lot of the B spheres are either like they want you to evade, or they do something while you're attacked, or while you take HP damage, right? So she doesn't really fit any of that. So you got to do something that's kind of generic, and I really feel like the 2 she can hit really well are Gabranth or Celis. So that's probably the top 2 you'd want to use there. But I do like Celis for the Brave game, right? So I think I like Beatrix's Brave game, so I really like Celis there. If you go with Gabranth, that's just going to be like a Brave damage down to the party, so it helps your party be a little bit more defensive, which could be good as well, right? And then on the D slot, basically, like, you could get away with Wakka. So for Wakka, she has to have 5 buffs on, and I think she's only like 1 buff away from that. So as long as you know she's going to get at least another buff from the party, you could go with Wakka, which would be pretty good there. Otherwise, just any other D slot attack up sphere, and she can use something like Luna Freya, because she does do weakness damage. And speaking of that, the A slot, you could use Rydia, and that's another one I recommend for weakness damage characters, because that's attack brave damage, and that's a weakness sphere. So yes, you could use one of those. I do think something like Hope or Cisne is probably best in the D slot because you're getting attack max brave, and I happen to have a Cisne, so that's a party max brave and attack up, so that's what I went with there. So I'd say Hope or Cisne are probably the best in slot there. And then A slot, I do think like Rydia could be really good, Jack could be really good. These big fat magic attack ones like Alphanod or Aerith, I think those could be really good as well. Or like a Sephiroth, Attack Max Brave, really, really good there as well, right? So, anyways, that's what I've got for spheres. Let's go ahead and let's hop into the showcase. Now, I am going to showcase her on the Ultimecia fight, which is a very aggressive fight, but I've got a defense team comp. Basically, I'm running her in a defense off-turn type team comp here, right? So we're going to go ahead and hop in. And I do want to bring a selfie to this because I don't have any force chargers, so I really want to get some force charging. So please not a GIMP selfie. I mean, I need a selfie. All right, Evian, I recognize you. You should be a good selfie. Yeah, okay. We'll take Evian's selfie today. Thanks, Evian, for the selfie. We'll take that. Let's go ahead and hop in. All right. Now, with Beatrix, she starts off with pretty much all of her relevant stuff at quest start. So there isn't like a certain way you have to start with her. You just really want to make sure you maintain her debuff, right? So, all right, we're going to get hit like right away here. So hopefully we're okay. Yep, good. All right, so we're good. Yep, and there's rose petals like right away. Okay, so let me talk about rose petals so you guys can see what that, and we're getting counter damage like immediately, right? So let's talk about rose petals. So rose petals comes from the rose petal debuff, which is on the enemy, okay? So basically what happens is the debuff itself does a sap on the enemies, and then as long as Beatrix is on the field, so you can't like swap her out for a friend unit if you want this to work, but while she's on the field, it is doing lightning resist down. So it's lightning apparel, defense down, brave damage taken up, and HP damage taken up. So those are very good things while Beatrix is on the field, right? So now the other thing that happens with rose petals, it is a follow-up and a counter. So the cool thing about it is as a counter or a follow-up, it's dispelling one buff off the enemy, which is very, very good, right? Does a brave gain, does a lightning attack, and it batteries the party, and it ignores defense, okay? Now here's the thing that's cool. Anytime you attack a target that has rose petals on, it will do the rose petal, okay? Otherwise, she has another buff called Noble Loyalty. If an ally with that buff gets hit, it will also trigger. So what it kind of does is it turns any ally into an off turn in a way, because if any of your allies get hit, as long as they have that buff, it's going to trigger, right? So there's a lot of fun ways you can operate with Beatrix, but because it triggers when you attack the enemy, it is kind of built more for like an offensive style of team comp. So I could have run more like a Yang setup here, and that's why Yang's on the banner, because I think Yang can work really well. But I do think this will work very well off turn as well for her force time, which we'll see that, right? So let's go ahead and hop in, and I think I really like to start with Clim Hazard, and I'll tell you why in a second, but Clim Hazard is a very, very good EX, and notice that it has a plus version. So a few of her skills are going to get upgraded, and basically the way to get the best skills out of her are to have 12 or more total buffs on the party. So you just want to make sure between Beatrix and then other characters on the field that you have 12 buffs total. Now I think Beatrix in total is going to put like 3 on the party, so you're already getting like 9 at least, so you'd only have to make sure a couple more get on to make sure that you have it. And once again, if you're going to run like Selfie as a friend, which a lot of people do, Selfie just loads a ton of buffs up. It's very easy to upkeep that, so I wouldn't worry about it. But let's hit Clim Hazard here. I do really like her EX. We're showcasing the snowboard. I did buy the snowboard. All right, what do we got for damage here? Here's Rose Petals following up, right? So yeah, that was pretty good. Like 1.2 mil with 800k on the other enemy. Very, very good there, right? So Clim Hazard, so it's a big AoE attack, does Brave Gains, and it recovers a use of skill 2. So we didn't really maximize that because we didn't use a skill 2 first, but I just like opening with that anyways. And then just know that the amount that it does those is going to scale based on the plus or the plus version. So just you want to try to have up to 12 buffs, right? It does put a buff on herself called Sworn General. The Sworn General buff is going to be attack 100%, max brave up 50%, and then a party brave and HP damage up, and then brave damage taken down to the party. So defensive, right? The party's going to take 30% less brave damage, and then brave gains up. So that's very good that we're getting all that just on Clim Hazard. And then the other thing that happens is Clim Hazard will enable an HP plus that we'll show you on the next attack here. So give me 1 second here. Let's go ahead and pop this. Okay, and then we'll go ahead. I don't really need to do the LD. Oh, and by the way, I did bring some specific calls here, and we will talk about that. I got to think. So I don't want to bring in Self EX. I want to get core kind of set up. So yeah, we'll just Dawn Hammer, just get a couple of normal turns here. And then I got to concentrate for a minute while I set this up. All right, so core, yeah, we are going to start with we'll just do like Moonlit. And then what we're going to do is we're going to hit up... I think I want to keep Gladio in because these guys are mean. So I'm actually going to actually not have Beatrix on the field for a minute here, just because I want to set up my Oath of Absolute Defense combo. So we're going to do that. I'm going to put that on Beatrix. Then we're going to go to EX. But I do want to see like how good I can make this Force Time look, right? And I've got an idea in my head as to how this is going to work. Once again, you don't have to run this defensively. Because of the way her debuff works, I think you actually can run it very offensive based, right? Okay, so we got that. Rose Petals will keep countering. So that's because they attacked one of my allies that has that buff on, and then Gladio himself will counter. So we'll talk about her force, but it's going to really base on racking off of this stuff, right? So I'm going to show you this. I'm not going to do the attack right now, but she gets this Holy Knight Safeguard attack, which is really, really good. So she gets this after her EX. So I always make sure I use this before her EX. But basically this makes it so your party can't take damage. So she gets a buff from this that makes it so your party cannot take damage. It's very, very good. Very, very defensive. And that comes from using the EX. So it's literally a buff you can use a lot. And Beatrix is actually kind of busted with EX chargers because you can almost 100% upkeep Holy Knight Safeguard. And then you're basically unkillable, which is crazy. But what I'm going to do is I am going to detour to Selfie here. And then with Selfie, what I'm going to do is I am just going to Rapture right away and get these guys launching. And then I'm going to quick get Oath of Absolute Defense on the other unit. So Gladio, do I want to? I don't want to do your call yet. So we'll just go ahead and Tempest again here. Okay, and then Core's going to get Oath of Absolute Defense on Gladio. So let's go ahead and Snowbreak on Gladio. Perfect. And then basically Selfie's going to charge up, and then we're going to get Beatrix back out. Okay, and then let's go ahead, sure, we'll do the X here. And with Gladio and everything, I think we should be pretty safe at this point. I don't think we have anything to worry about in terms of dying here. I could be wrong. We'll see. But I did pick a very aggressive fight, because I am going to try to show the off-turn version of this. But once again, Beatrix, I think you can use in a more offensive version. And depending on what the Shinryu fight looks like, I might showcase the offensive version of her setup. So if you want to see that. But yeah, these enemies are going to be super aggressive. Look at all the attacks. Unfortunately, we're not in Force Time right now, but this is fine. And the cool thing about this is they're just helping me charge the Force gauge. So I think by the time Selfie's out of here, we might be ready to just pop this sucker. And we could get Beatrix's Force going like right away. I kind of don't want to pop it too soon though, because we could actually kill the enemies with how aggressive they are before I even showcase her whole kit. But we might. Alright, so let's just wall out here. Yep, we're just going to wall out. And obviously with the Selfie friend, you're definitely going to have no issue upkeeping 12 buffs. We'll put it that way. And this is cool because the enemy Ultimecia, you see, has a buff on there. So we can showcase Beatrix kind of wiping that off, right? Because she has a few dispelling attacks, including her off turn, right? So we can very easily wipe that off the face of the planet here. But let's get Beatrix out. Alright, we're going to keep walling out. Perfect, and then Beatrix should come back in. And we're pretty close to Force Time here, right? Alright, so let's go ahead and let's showcase off here. Let's do Holy Knight Safeguard. I want to show you this. So let's go ahead and pop this. Okay, and I want to make sure that she actually got that buff because she didn't get over buffed here. But you can see Ultimecia's buff just got wiped off by Rose Petals there, right? And now you're going to see that she's got Holy Knight Safeguard 2 turns of it, right? So if a cool strat you can do with Beatrix is sometimes enemies do like heavy delay attacks. You can give Beatrix a locking call and lock enemies onto her, and then you could have Holy Knight Safeguard up, and she could get delayed into oblivion and just sit there and your party can't die, which is kind of crazy, right? So that's just kind of a really cool thing you can do with her. Let's use Saint Cloth, by the way, because we haven't used that yet. So let's go ahead and pop it over here. Okay. And this is going to be a really nice battery, and then she does follow up with an attack here. Perfect. And with Rose Petals, how much damage we getting on that? Wow, 1.2 mil on Holy Knight Safeguard. That's pretty good, actually. Now, I am running her with an Ultima weapon, but she isn't blue armor, right? So I wanted to bring the Ultima weapon to compensate for her not having blue armor to try to simulate the damage. We're probably getting more damage from this than just from the blue armor, but that's fine. So let's go ahead and look at St. Claus. So it's just a party battery that scales on Max Brave. And then she just does the big attack afterwards. And then this for the party does HP regen and defense up for 12 turns. So they last a long time. And the thing is they're not framed, these two, so they're very easy to rewrite. So she's not going to get as cloggy with other buffers if you want to put more important buffs up, right? So now, I mean, sure, let's do a Reaper's Gale. Why not? And then I think we are going to hop into Force here. Even though there are a couple, I haven't shown her LD yet, but we'll show that on her first attack during Force time. And then, yeah, let's get some more calls on while I can. Okay, and then let's go ahead and we will just... I actually have to just like HP attack here because I don't want to refresh his Oath on anybody. So let's just do that because both characters have Oath right now. Now here's the thing. We actually have to really get to a Gladio turn here. I'm trying to think. Yeah, we should be fine here. We'll go like this. So our counters won't up the gauge quite as much as I'd want at first. We have to get to Gladio's first turn, but that won't take us long to get to. So I think I'm going to pop the Force right now since I've got it. But I do want to put the Lucky Girl on. We'll put the Lucky Girl on. Alright. So now we're going to go and pop the Force, and let's take a look at this sucker here. Her AA, by the way, is just like got some generic buffs and then a heal, so it's decent, right? And you definitely want to put it up when you have it. Alright, how much damage we got on this? And she partners with Snow, which is a pretty good combo. They kind of have similar roles in their games, I would say, in a way. Okay, wow, 1.9 mil and 1.6. Very heavy damage there. Like that. Now, you're going to notice Core here doesn't up the Force time. And I'm going to explain what her Force gauge does. Well, let's see Gladio going here. Gladio's going to get a nice... And we're going to get the Rose Petals. Now, Rose Petals should up it a lot. Yeah, 20% there. Okay. And then Gladio counter. So let's talk about this Force time and what exactly is going on here, right? So one thing is it does do a Dispel on the enemy. So any buffs they have, they're going to get wiped. Okay. Does that big AoE attack, which we saw, which was darn near 2 mil AoE. Very good. The party gets an HP regen and defense up for 12 turns. Party HP damage limit up for the party during this, which is good. As long as the party has 12 or more buffs. So that's the key thing, is you want to keep the party really buffed up, right? So basically, as long as a party turn, as long as a turn passes on your own turn with 12 or more buffs on the party, you get 30% there. So just bam, your turn passes, you get 30%, right? Which you could combo this with, like, say, a Hope. You could do Hope and you'd get like a 55% for using like a free turn skill, and then you get another 30 on top of that. Not as strong as the Zone, but that's something you could do with like a Force charging character, is you could do pretty heavy buffs per turn. Then any thunder element damage is 5%, but 20% if Beatrix does it in off turn counts. Now the one big flaw with Beatrix for doing a team like this is she does not enchant thunder to the party. So you have to do it with a call. Now, in terms of like a really good running mate for Beatrix, which I think on her Shinryu fight, I think I'm going to run this team, but I think Garnet is a really good partner. So I'm thinking if I run like Beatrix, Garnet, and then like either like a Yang or Core type character, I think that build could be really good, because Garnet is a party thunder enchant, which is really, really nice, right? So we'll just keep that in mind. But let's go ahead here with Gladio. We happen to have Cryo Call, which is going to be a 6-turn Thunder Enchant. And with how slow Gladio is, I think it's going to last long enough. So let's go ahead and pop that Thunder Enchant. Perfect. And you can see we did get some percentage there for doing thunder damage. All right, and now Gladio, let's pop the LD here, and this should be thunder damage now. So once again, even on turn, it's only going to be 5%, but we get 30% for having the buffs as well. So yeah, about 35%. We got 38 there. Okay, and now here's the thing: off turn, we're gonna get 20% for Beatrix, because we get 20% if Beatrix does it, and then Gladio should now be triggering 5. Yep. So now that we got that enchant on, so now we just let the off turn go crazy. Ooh. Yeah, that's the bad part about Cryo, though. She does do a Paralyze, but that's fine. The Paralyze will just be for 1, and then we'll be good. So that's fine. With Core, yeah, I think we're good just doing the Lion's Roar here. And then once again, as long as they got Rose Petals on, they're still going to be taking 20%. So even with like Core, I could say do like an LD and then do his Rainbow numbers and then let that. But yeah, they're going to cut. Now, the thing is the Rose Petals could fall off, so we want to make sure we get that refresh. So we're going to refresh that with the LD on the next turn. But Rose Petals is probably going to fall off, so we're not going to get that, like, continuously here, because they're, like, too dang aggressive. So I actually think I might like the offensive version for Beatrix a little bit better. We'll see how it works in the Shinryu. But I think we're still going to be getting a lot of percent here, right? We're still going to be getting all these 5s with that Thunder Enchant, right? Sure, we'll take that. We'll take that. Now, they're both paralyzed, so they're each going to lose a turn. But they're so aggressive, doesn't matter. Like, Ultimisia is still attacking 500 times. Okay, sure. We're still going to have plenty of good gauge here. Plenty of good gauge. Those 5% ticks definitely add up. You guys have all seen me do that before. Okay, and then, yeah, with all this Oath of Absolute Defense, like everybody just countering like crazy. Sure, core go crazy. Yep. Go ahead and pop that. That's fine. There's Rose Petals, and I think Ultimisia just wore it off right now, so we got to get that back up. So, thankfully, we got Beatrix's turn. So, yeah, that's where we're going to hit, and we haven't shown the LD yet, so this is a really good opportunity to do that. So, let's do Shock. Let's see the damage here. Let's see what our damage is looking like. Oof, that's good. I mean, it's mid-force time, but yeah, about 4 mil AoE, so we'll take that. Now we're going to see more petals going off. Yep, the counterattacks. And once again, we get 20% to pop. So this is kind of reminding me of Celis a little bit, where Celis can get like 25% off turn. And I think that's really impressive when you're getting it off turn, right? So let's talk about Shock. So Shock also dispels all buffs off the enemies, which is very good. Big AoE attack, big party battery. It does ignore defense. And the one thing I also forgot to mention is her Rose Petals ignores defense as well, and that is significant. Not as significant as it used to be, but it's good because if you're going against really tanky enemies, it's still going to do really nice damage because it's going to ignore the defense, right? Then it just does a party HP regen for 12 turns, and then it does put 8 turns of Rose Petals down on the enemy. So now they got that trap for 8 turns, so we're good to go here. Gladio, let's see where we're at with Oath on my characters, by the way. Oh, you already are out of Oath, huh? So Gladio does not have Oath anymore. Where's Beatrix at with Oath? Beatrix still has 3 turns. Alright, so now I guess I'm free to refresh Oath at this point. Sure, we'll let the enemy go. So we'll just Dawn Hammer here. Still should get a little bit, yep. And then here's what I'm going to do. Let's showcase this a little bit. So I should be able to Reaper's Gale. And then let me see, where's Rose Petals at? Rose Petals at 7. And let's see where your Rose Petals. Yours should be pretty high as well. Yeah, 8. Okay, so let's show like a little bit of an offensive turn here. So let's pop a Reaper's Gale, which is a free turn. But once again, it's going to trigger the off turn here. So Reaper's Gale is going to do a fat chunk 38. Oh, that did not trigger Rose Petal. Hold on. I thought it did. Hold on one second. Attacking with Rose Petal. Yeah, I thought it would. Oh, no, it's when the target attacks. I thought it was when we attack them. Let's test that a little bit more. I thought it was when we attack them, but maybe it's just when they attack us and they have the Rose Petal debuff. I must have misread that wrong on the infographic. Let's just take a look here. So let's go ahead and let's do... Sure, we can refresh Moonlit. And let's refresh it back on Beatrix. That's fine. Okay. Alright, let's just watch here. Okay, so they're going to cut. Yep, recast. That's fine. We're getting all of our off-turn stuff. That's fine. Off-turn, off-turn, off-turn. We'll take our little 5% chunks. Okay, that's fine. We'll take that Rose Petals counter. Okay, yeah, so the Rose Petals are when the enemy attacks us, not when we attack the enemy. So, little clarification there. But still, so the defense team then might be a little bit better than an offensive team, but I might still try it. We'll see. So now we've got Clim Hazard up again, right? And I always like to press this. Oh, but you know what? As much as I want to press Clim Hazard, I haven't even shown you Thunder Slash yet, so we better pop that. Okay, here's Thunder Slash. Okay, so yeah, very good damage there. Obviously inflated with the Force Time. But Thunder Slash is an AoE attack. It is thunder damage, does a party battery, and then it just puts a Noble Loyalty buff on the party. Now, Noble Loyalty is important. So it's an attack up, max brave up, overflow up, brave damage taken down, and that's for herself, and then the party gets an attack and defense up. But this is what enables the follow-up to happen more. So if an ally with Noble Loyalty is hit, the Rose Petals will go off, right? So that's pretty good. Now let's just test this a little bit more. Let's attack again. Wow. Oh, never mind. We're like annihilating these guys. Okay, and then we're going to counter and just go crazy here. Oh, yep, and then Ultimisius is going to kill herself. So I guess that's going to be the showcase right there. Yep, and then Rose Petals because she attacked an enemy with the Noble Loyalty buff. All right, can I please get one attack in? Please? Okay, let me just try another attack here. So let me just do Dawn Hammer. She'll probably just die instantly, won't she? Yeah, okay. So, if somebody wants to clarify in the comments, but maybe that core attack just didn't go for whatever reason, but the way I'm reading it, and I'm reading off the infographic here, but basically, her off turn, it says attacking target with Rose Petals debuff. So the way I read that is as long as I'm attacking a target with Rose Petals, it should go off, but I didn't see it go off when I attacked with, but I didn't pay attention the whole fight. But I think that's the way it's supposed to work. Because then when the enemy attacks you and you have the Noble Loyalty, it's supposed to pop off. So the general idea is her trap is going to go off either when you're attacking them or they're attacking you, provided you have all the buffs, debuffs set up. And then you're just getting a lot of off-turn damage, right? So she's very, very good. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think of Beatrix. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.